Greetings and welcome to the energy of Gemini. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Tarot of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. Today we shall be focusing on the energy of Gemini for the ascendant placement on June 1st. Okay, this can also be generative of a solar placement, if you will, or any other placement that would be taken in terms of house structures or house cusps. So the centripetal force is Gemini. Happy birthday to the solar Geminis out there. We shall go ahead and begin. Now, what I see for the month of June 2022 is a strong indication that there may be a few troubles or discordant situations where challenges emerge in terms of, firstly, the retrograde in Mercury, which is still effective in the early part of June, okay? And it has a shadow effect that comes from the energy of Taurus. Now, essentially, Taurus, it deals with the second house, but for you, it activates also the 12th house, meaning that there is a link between physical realities, okay? Especially with world climates, world ecological systems, as well as world economics, okay? That has to do with how these are sublimated, how these are going through a type of transformation through the south node of Scorpio, okay? That's here. And the activation of the north node here triggers for you a spiritual transformation, or perhaps the end of a cycle, the end of a system of valuing primarily. Because Taurus still has the placement of Uranus, as well as the North Node, highly activating it triggers what is known as, firstly, a square to your MC, okay, with Saturn in Aquarius being placed there, okay. Now, what does this mean? It indicates that there's going to be a challenge in the way you structure things. I'm seeing this as a general sort of motif for the month of June, in which you can play the rebel or perhaps play the philosopher in the way structures that you are bringing about conflict with the world around you. With Mercury being in retrograde, essentially there's a slowness to the systems in which you are forced to find ingenious ways to structure through Saturn, through the auspices of Saturn in Aquarius, newness, to bring forward newness or a new world in terms of the order or the way things go about, meaning that you can be an agent for this this change. Okay, it's a spiritual shift of the way we value certain things. Okay. One way to see this is to see the sense of self, okay, which is highly elicited in the first house, the ascendant, and see how things are changing or shifting with the dreams or ambitions, your own dreams or ambitions, okay, in which there is an activity of Mars and Jupiter in Aries, okay, so a lot of intense energy in which you are activated through your goals, your aspirations, as well as the 11th house, global networks, okay. As well as distant or more what you would call galactic, as opposed to something that's more 10th house, more like realistic ambitions. Okay, and this gives you a sense of identity. It gives you a sense of solar identity as well as your ascendant. How to take this energy and fuse yourself, another version of yourself. Okay, a new student, and this student is directly influenced by your community, meaning that people in your community or figureheads in your community, pioneers, can help you, and you can benefit to essentially activate the mutable energy of your ascendant, okay, or your sun placement. That allows for great change and great revolution. There's a revolutionary sort of energy here, which I rather like, okay, meaning that you can take the structures of Saturn, the ones that are building in your mind, the ones that are coming out of the 9th to the 10th house cusp, and essentially create for yourself the sense that you are bringing forward something new that you can value, meaning that value systems are being completely and irrevocably shaped and transformed right now through the chaos of Uranus and Taurus, as well as through the energy of retrograde Gemini, okay, in Mercury, as well as essentially the dragon's head, okay, the energy of Rahu, or the North Node, in the 12th house in Taurus, okay, which is good, but it also is very dismantling or jarring in a way. Taurus does not like to be, in this mode in which they have to be ramming forward and, pushing forward in a spiritual way, in a very slow and stagnant spiritual way, these needs or these ambitions to change what is being valued, okay? Change the value of reality, of money, of anything that has to do with the second house, okay? And perhaps there's something about your second house which is, sort of highlighted by the Pars Fortune, which is a combination of sun, moon, and ascendant to calculate Pars Fortune, that triggers an inner world that is tied to the new value system of Venus and Taurus, okay? So I see here, generally speaking, the need to revalue or to recycle, or perhaps to bring about a new birth here with Venusian energy, okay? What does that mean? It means that you can find a sense of your inner world, that's the moon in Cancer, okay? Essentially a way to bring forward a new value system in which you can emotionally identify or creatively identify with the new temperament of Venus, okay? So it's as if Venus is dying and being reborn in a way. And through the polar axis of Scorpio being activated, there's a lot to be had in terms of friends, okay? Friends, or perhaps creative energies that are in Scorpio for you. That is somewhat your weak part, in terms of transformations, okay? Transformations or death cycles regarding children, regarding your creative works, your essence, okay? Your intense essence is here, and it's also in the 6th house. So work is being transformed, okay? Or your everyday routine is being transformed. Your sort of coasting fixity is being transformed, and it's being taught to reckon with certain lessons, okay? Now the deep transformations has to do with, yes, your everyday routine, your working with children, working in a creative way, and shows you how to essentially push forward with the finger of God, or the Yob formation, with an activation here of all this Martian energy, Mars and Jupiter in conjunct together in Aries, okay, combined with your sort of ascendant here, the sun's energy and the ascendant in your 1st house, okay, in Gemini. So what does this mean? It means that systems of faith or fanaticism, okay, systems of war also, can be learned on a global level, and your relation to the global sort of collective, or the global collective perspective, okay? And you can temper for this a way to be steady into the bringing about, or this Venusian energy of bringing about newness, of the new earth, of the new sort of divine feminine in the energy of Taurus. And before I get any more tongue twisted, it's through this square that is activated through the finger of God that comes from the South Node into Taurus, okay, that pushes forward systems of learning about the self through the energy of war, or the energy of extreme expansion, okay, of new orders, or anything that has to do with new ambitions that are brought about by this pioneering energy and this warlike energy, this violent energy of Jupiter and Mars in Aries, okay? So essentially what I see is unsteady, steady, fixtures, paths that emerge through the step and the graces of Venus, okay, that push forward a spiritual agenda that allows you to bring forward the sort of leader that you would want to be. It requires a great deal of mutability combined with this very fixed energy, okay, of moving from the 11th to the first houses. Okay, so that's first fixity, and then that's fixity through Aquarius, and that's also fixity through this Martian energy to go into the mutable first house, okay, which is more cardinal in nature according to Aries, okay, which is its natural uh, house ruler or house sort of energy. And essentially, what I'm seeing before I get even more lost in the befuddlement of words during Mercury retrograde, um, is this very pioneering energy, okay, that you can master in order to show how others can learn through you learning through faith or learning through the design of this pioneering energy that's also Martian to push forward and bring forward a Venusian newness to everything, a creative way of seeing things. And when you might find that when Mercury goes direct, some sort of deep spiritual insights that come through Luciferian principle, through the fallen angel, will come through the dragon's head and bring forward incredible realizations that are quite real and very much tempered by the fixed possession, the possessive quality of Taurus. Okay, and I'm liking this energy, meaning that anything tied to the golden calf and the worship of idols, you might see in terms of what we've been going through on in a Babylonian cycle, in which the Tower of Babel and the languages or the ways of expression that have been formulated might be echoing currently, okay, in the month of June for you, meaning that anything that is said, anything that is said across distant seas or different multicultural regions, you might find a sort of logos that is universal in nature or galactic in design, that has to do with messages that you can value in terms of newness, meaning that Gemini will have the ability to bring in vision that is tied directly to seeing, truly seeing, being visionary, seeing. Okay, and this has to do with an activation of the 12th house. It's around your 12th, 11th, 12th, and first houses, and this can help you if you need some sort of change. Especially with retrograde Pluto here in Capricorn. It will allow you to shift through the sort of climate of war, through the climate of transformation, also Cold War, in Capricorn, to catapult forward into this Aquarian age, okay, in which you can structure a career if you wanted to, or a path that is directly going to challenge your, the sort of climate of this Venusian ideal of how things are set up in the Tower of Babel, or through fire worship, or through ancient ways of idol worship, how to shatter the image that has been, sort of set forth by secret societies or by secret powers that are based on this reptilian energy to, sort of bring forward a capitalistic agenda and to shatter that in some sort of way. It's very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff, especially with the moon being in Cancer. You can perceive this on the inner world, and how certain climates of war or the expansion of war may be sort of challenging, your own sort of principle, Pars Fortune, your own Lilith, and your own sort of insight, your emotional intuition may go directly against any sort of violent impulses that the world is programming you to have in some sort of way. So it's quite intense. Not exactly the easiest reading, and I tried my very best to not get too out there in terms of aspects, and trying to sort of bring them all together. But in terms of this, I see a smorgasbord that activates the 10th, the 11th, 12th, and the first houses for the energy of Gemini, and essentially it brings forward through your primary ruler, which is Mercury, okay, in retrograde. It brings forward and it catapults you into this energy of Taurus, okay, activates essentially some very strong things that have to do with, structures, fighting structures, finding paths that are unspoken, that, you know, that allow you to value something new. Okay. One last thing is that there is harmony between the 12th house, especially your own desires, your own sort of ambitions, what you want to produce in terms of commitments or relationships, or anything that has to do with business, or what you value in a creative way or in a Venusian way. I'm seeing here a lot that has to do with pleasant dreams. Okay, pleasant dreams that have to do with the 10th house and 11th house, that are in the energy of Pisces. So pleasant spiritual dreams, pleasant intuitions, pleasant ways of coming into spiritual forms. Okay, so that's something that you can benefit from. Also, in terms of the benefit, your ascendant, your ascendant is being tempered, and is going through healing energy through the energy of purification of Aries, which is a good thing, meaning that your actions will represent something about your own sense of right doing, doing things within the sun, the sun's energy. So during daytime, it will be beneficial for you to act during those times in order to produce some sort of purification, some sort of purification expansion during the daytime. So daytime will be very auspicious for you in the month of June. Also, one last thing, Mercury retrograde will bring for you a shift that is so necessary right now in terms of a deep shift, a deep structural shift for you. Something deep within you will allow for transformation if and when, Pluto goes direct as well as Mercury goes direct. There will be some sort of transformation of the world, or something that is deeply rooted within, that is tied to the element of Earth. Okay, the element of Earth, essentially, it has to do with arcta, which is like your ability to manifest things on the material realm. Okay, so a lot has to do here with resources and bringing forward mineral or ore, or something that is compressed, and something that resembles a diamond, or something that is precious, will come about after the sequence of Mercury and Pluto in retrograde go direct. Okay, and that can bring a number of things. Primarily, I see something here that is intellectual in nature or psychological in nature. Okay, that can be brought about in terms of what you desire. Okay, in a very deep and fundamental way, that can be brought forward with the direct energy of Mercury, as well as Pluto, that eventually becomes direct and brings forward your desires. Okay, so one thing to do is to note what is fundamentally in there, what structures of foundation are fundamentally in there that are intellectual in nature, that are also based on your own deep commitments or your own roots. Okay, and how these may be altered, or how they may take precedence once things go direct, once Mercury and Pluto go direct, and bring forward what you so desire. Okay, usually it's tied to intellectual capacities, or the capacities of the student to the master. Okay, in terms of intellect, of the students to the intellectual. Okay, and that is the best I can do, and I think I am gutted for now. I do wish you well. Thank you, and bye bye.